What's happening all? It is Friday, the 30th of August, my very last recording for this month, another month in the books. So seeing a lot of the news coming out, a lot of people making comments with respect to what's been happening in the economy, where things are headed, what they're anticipating, all those things, which is all good things. And it seems like every bit of data that is being produced and commented on is ways of saying how things are getting better. Well, we're seeing these little readings that are trying to lean it one direction or the other, or really just a rosier direction. Yeah, we're getting closer to the Fed's target. All these things, reasons why the Fed should lower the interest rate, which, again, we know that lowering that rate doesn't correlate to an exact exchange to you trying to get a mortgage on a home. It is an influence towards that. So all of this information coming out, all these things indicating that we're going to see things get better and rates are going to go down. The one of the main reasons that we're seeing inflation still trying to lag a little bit is because of cost of housing, and that's going to get better. But every single one of these comments have to do with hopefully reasons for the rates to get better. But what we do know, if the rates get better, the price of housing goes up, continues to push inflation, right? Because that's one of the biggest hammers on the inflation readings is the cost of housing and insurance right now. Well, some of the things that's happening right now, and I know that politics seems to be like just a division amongst people, but that has a major impact on how things happen in our world, how decisions are made in policies done by politicians who are basically enacting laws instead of just keeping shit where it works is going to have an impact. A couple things. So we saw the jobs report that 800 some thousand jobs didn't really happen. So people are like, well, that should really impact our economy, but we have a higher consumer confidence right now. Now, those readings come from people spending money. So why is this? It's not translating. Let's think about this. So a lot of people that are supposed to have jobs really didn't end up having jobs. We also have an enormous amount of people coming into our country and being given enormous amounts of capital that's continuing to put our country into a deficit. And those individuals are spending that money. So what we have here economically, U.S. citizens that have a decline in their living capability, one in the fact that their jobs are getting impacted heavily. Their cost of housing is going through the roof. Their cost of insurance is going through. The cost of everything has gone up significantly. Nobody's going to argue that. If you're arguing with me on that, I think you're just not paying freaking attention. But then you also have the government taking money, creating it at thin air or tax laws, or whatever, and then improving the lives of those who've come here illegally and giving them the capability to spend that capital, push up our housing, push up our costs. And then we also have this thing I talked about last time where you buy a house, it goes up in value. You haven't sold it, but you can be taxed on your net worth if that is truly a thing that they plan to do. I know that we said there's arguments that's going to be for people that are worth 100 million or more, but once you open the door, once you crack that, that is just something that allows them to just do it to everybody. And I think it's really, really, really Pollyannic and ignorant to believe that they're going to do anything different. They have never, ever, ever put anything in place that's been retracted. It's only grown and gotten worse. So if that ends up happening, and you end up buying a home, and it goes up in value, and because of that value on paper goes up, you now have to write a check for 25% or whatever it went up. Let's say it went up $100,000 in value from what you bought it for. Now you got to write a check for 25% of that. That's $25,000 you got to cut a check for. If you don't have that money, what are you going to do? You might sell the house. Who's going to buy the houses? Is it going to be more houses going to the hedge funds? They're going to continue to grow their portfolio to rent to you. Is this part of that plan of owning nothing and being happy because you own nothing, so you're not paying taxes on it? You're happy you're not paying taxes. You're now being taken care of. Your housing is handled, or at least being managed by a government. You have your food being managed by them. You've got your health care being managed by them. Your whole life is being dictated by somebody else. Don't know how awesome that is. I don't know how much one likes that thought process. I personally am not a big fan of it. So with all the news that's come out, a lot of people are spinning saying, hey, this is better. The interest rate should get better. Well, this is what I'm seeing in the market. It didn't. We took that hammering. So this was when I talked to you guys on Tuesday, this is Friday, this is yesterday, it's Wednesday, this is Tuesday. We're up at that high point. This is the highest point that we'd seen in our market since May of 2023. Let me go ahead and zoom you back right here. Here we go. May 11th, 2023. That was the highest point that we saw. This is the highest close that we have seen since then. And then bam, reversal. Then they tried to come back up above it, opened high, went straight back down. The value of this security is not any more than this. This is about that point, 101.05. That's the value, I believe. Again, I can be wrong. I'm looking at charts. And we're struggling to get above that. And then, of course, with the readings that come out today, PCE, make it seem like, oh, this is actually in line. When you look at people breaking it down, it shows it went up. But when you break it down and people do their math that expands things out, they're saying, oh, this is in line with what the Fed wants, is a 2% inflation, meaning that our cost of living is only going up 2% per year. When in reality, it's been a hell of a lot more than that. Now they're saying it's kind of in line when you re-look at the numbers and you do a little bit extra math to this, and I get where they're coming from, it makes sense, but the market tell me different. So I'm not convinced that we're going to see much better rates at this point than what we saw just in this last, I'm also of the thought process doesn't freaking matter. If that's what you're waiting for, you're waiting just to pay more for the house. And if you're also waiting for the government to give you $25,000 for a home, you're waiting for the cost to go up by 20 to 50,000. Because if everybody gets 25 grand that has not owned a home before, guess what they're going to do? They're going to increase the houses by 25 to 30 to $40,000. You're going to pay more than what you'd pay now. So waiting for the handout makes your costs go up higher and you're really not getting ahead. That's my thought. I could be wrong. I've been wrong before, but charts are just telling me what they're telling me. So I'm just passing it on to you. Talk to you guys on Tuesday, possibly.